So, it's time for more Fuuto PI with the two Brandons.
I'm still scared. There's still just a single light and a microphone in front of me.
Yes.
I don't remember how I got here this time.
My dopon powers are working.
Is your sanity slipping?
No, no.
Are you sure about that? Because I think abducting me like this is definitely something a crazy person would do.
Hmm. Better not call Shotaro. Don't
I'll just
worry. I'll let
wiggle
you out in about an hour.
and try to get my stag phone out.
Yes. So, I was half right in the fact that they would be skipping over the sea arc.
I was also right that apparently we're getting the main villain popping up and actually doing something.
Mm-hmm. And I was half right he would be meeting Shotaro face to face.
I mean, I kind of assumed that. Like, whether or not that was the end of the episode or the start or end of the arc or start of the arc was up in the air.
Yeah.
I would have more assumed the end of the arc, though in this one it seems like he was not anticipating this to happen.
No, no, no.
This was definitely not something that he had pre-planned for. This was something that was just like, huh, well, this is happening, I guess.
Yeah, my thought was he would somehow use his connections to meet up with Shotaro and just like check him out like face to face in person and maybe not give a little taunt to him, but I would say like this is a good meeting from them.
Mm-hmm. By the way, question.
Yes.
I'm going to assume that you probably couldn't see this, but what does the back of fucking red dude? I never remember his goddamn name.
Ryu?
Ryu. What does the back of his jacket say?
Oh,
He's got like an upside down flaming heart for some reason. Or maybe it's a flaming ass. I can't really tell.
hold on. Hold on.
But yeah, like I saw it in the one scene where he has his back to the camera, quote unquote camera, and it's just like in almost a three-quarter circle around that flaming ass slash heart. And I'm like, that's actually in English, but I can't read it because it's so blurred.
The words on the back of his jacket to read, the spiritual state of nothingness makes even fire itself cool.
I don't know if that's depressing or not.
It's a phrase from Buddhist philosophy.
Taking it at face value, though, sounds very what's the word? It sounds very depressing. Because I mean, like, think of it this way, right? If it says what the nothingness of spiritualists, or
The
spiritualism.
spiritual state of nothingness makes even fire itself cool.
So yeah, there you have no spirit, nothing exists. Good job. So even passions are pointless.
Yeah, I guess, but I didn't watch the whole series, so I don't know if that has anything to do with the fact that he's kind of empty inside ever since his parents and sister got killed by a dopant.
Ah, then why is he married if he's so empty inside?
Well, I guess when he joined up with Shoto and Philip, he like gained more about himself. I don't really know about his character that much. Oh,
I just noticed the wording and I was curious,
and
but the
before,
wording seems dumb.
well, it is anglicized from a Buddhist phrase, so
Could be
may,
the translation's bad. Yeah, that's
mm.
possible.
And before we begin, answering a question you had from last week that I fully
Hold on.
didn't.
One last thing to
Okay.
mention about this thing. Could also be the context too, right? Just this one phrase out of context makes it sound worse than it is. All right, go ahead.
I'm not too sure if you could purchase his jacket during the main run of Double, but I do know there is Kamen Rider clothing, like show accurate clothing, that you could buy.
That would be a massive missed opportunity if they didn't do that.
Like I said, like a few years back, I picked up a Windscale tie, which is Shotaro's main clothing company he buys from.
Hmm.
I think it
Product placement.
kind of for itself. Um, which is like a Bandai brand. So,
Hmm.
I think it was Thursday or Friday of last week. I was watching just some random YouTube videos, and one popped up like for a new double toy that was like re-released for the Fuuto or something like that, but
Hmm.
it was another sentient memory like Fang. Although
So there's more than one of those.
it apparently came from the novel that was out, I think 2014, 2015, and this was just like a novel, not a graphic novel or anything like that. So
Hmm.
it was the zoo memory, and it was shaped like a wolf.
Okay.
So whoever the dopant in that book was, he used the zoo memory. So there is a chance we will see another sentient memory somewhere in the upcoming arcs. Maybe season 2, 3, potentially 4, but no promises.
Do we know what Zoo does?
I would have to read about it, but I do think. Uh, Hold on, let me just pull it up here. Zudo Pont. No. It seems that it can control other animal based dopants, but like the article on Common Rider Wiki doesn't have too much, just like 3 paragraphs, and they like really short paragraphs. So,
So I was also looking some things up. Apparently, Zoo has the powers of various animals.
mm,
Uh, just like the Fang memory. Zoo. Wait, hold on. Fang memory is different because this is implying Fang has multiple abilities besides just spawning a Fang. Then again, this is the Dopant, so who fucking knows?
yeah,
Has memory of will of his own. Philip can transform into Kamen Rider W. Fang Joker. Do 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 do. No, it doesn't specify what it does as a memory when they use it.
y-
It just gives the idea of like this thing having multiple animal abilities.
yeah. Like it says here, elephant, dolphin, fish, ape, bird, cockroach. So we might see Zoo in some flashback, but I don't know. But on to the Close K arc, episode
Can I
1.
say one thing before we get into this?
Yes.
Uh, was it just me, or were you getting like ghost stories vibes?
In what way?
The setting.
Kind
Remember
of.
there was that one episode where they got a blizzard and were trapped in the fucking like haunted hotel.
A little bit, but I don't remember ghost stories all that much.
I'm disappointed in you.
I mean, the dub was hilarious, but I don't fully remember it.
But the most important question is, have you accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior?
Yeah, so
You're
we
not
have.
answering my question.
Yes. Yes, yes, I have. Overly Christian girl in Japan. So there's a blizzard, and
Well, first we had to go out and get mushrooms. Don't forget that part.
yeah, because
Philip has an
Philip,
obsession again.
yes, Philip's obsession with mushrooms drove him to go mushroom hunting, and it started a bomb cyclone.
Yup.
So, and I guess this is because the sea arc got removed, and this maybe got brought up in that one, but Ryu comes back to the detective agency and says, hey, you know the Magniora guy? He's dead.
He's a dead boy who's under heavy security. Oh, by the way, where's Shotaro and Philip? Oh, they're in the mountain? Have you seen the weather outside? Seems like a bad idea to be out there.
Yeah?
And that's the extent of their conversation at the office.
Yeah. Although in the subs that I was watching, um, Akiko says something like, oh, I Strand didn't think of that.
I saw that and I was pointedly ignoring it existed because I knew you'd be happy about it.
I mean, like, I paused and was like laughed for a good 10 seconds at that joke.
It is a terrible joke. How is that funny?
Because of Stranded and Strand didn't.
You're awful.
I didn't write the joke.
No, but you're just as bad for enjoying it.
What's
Like, it's
wrong?
not even a joke.
What's wrong with liking puns?
It's not a good pun.
So, the guys come across a abandoned village.
It's an abandoned village on a mountain.
So, a woman comes up and for help. She leads them to a mansion. And
Yep.
they find out they don't have cell service there.
Of course not. Why would we have cell service? Considering, we're in the mansion of a rich person who should probably have cell reception here.
Because lights are on, heating is going.
Plenty of food.
Mm-hmm.
We find out that he's from a family that used to mine gold and was essentially like the royalty, quote unquote, of the area.
And the woman says, hey, don't let anybody know you've seen my face, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, that's just a little bit weird.
So what I thought was weirder was that the minute she turned around from facing them, her voice got all muffled. Later on, we find out that everyone in this house is wearing masks. Where did she pull hers from if it was muffling her voice immediately after turning around? Because I don't remember seeing her hands move whatsoever to, like, put on the mask or anything.
Good question.
So I'm not sure if the show is trying to just make us assume she put it on, or if this is like a hint to something.
I have my own theory that I'll get to closer to the end of the episode.
All right.
And when I saw everybody in masks once they get to the hall, I was
Get
thinking,
introduced to the master of the household.
yeah, I was thinking, is this some sort of masquerade party they've wandered into?
Congratulations, you're on the same track as Philip.
Right, but that's not the case. This is
Nope.
all some big dating thing.
Essentially, yes. I knew something more was up, and I'm like, I know I've seen this set up before somewhere, and I couldn't think of it. I still can't think of where I've seen it before, but I know I have.
Maybe.
Also, I wouldn't have guessed Masquerade based on solely because of those ugly ass masks.
Maybe in another anime you've seen this concept?
Oh, it probably is. I just can't remember which one.
Yes, the master of the house, Kuya Kagamino, is looking for a wife, and at the end of 4 days, he will pick a wife that properly suits him, even though he will not know her face.
Supposedly, it's to help with the personality, but he seems to think it's the most seductful, the worst, the temptress is, I believe, the term he used. Which of these temptresses or something are going to convince him?
And this is to make his grandmother, Kiku, happy because this is a family tradition.
Apparently,
Yeah, and I think like that's how he said his grandparents met.
yes, yeah. Well, his actual parents as well.
Mm. So if anybody takes off their mask, well, any of the four contestants, quote unquote, they're immediately disqualified.
They also can't say their names.
Right.
It's not as big a deal if what was his name? Kiku?
That was the grandmother. Kuya is the young
Yeah,
guy.
Kiku and Kuya. Neither one, it really doesn't matter if they take theirs off. It's more to hide, I guess, their emotions more.
Hmm.
Like so their face doesn't give away what they're thinking.
And don't worry, there's only 10 people in this house. We'll have food and water for days, even though there's a storm outside.
So here's one of the things where I'm sitting there and I'm like, are you telling the truth? Or at least, are you telling the truth as far as you know? I don't know if it was just like the angle, but we got like a shot when they said like, "Oh, my mother's friend." And the person we saw, I don't think was what's his face, Mr. Rainbow Braid.
Oh.
I can't remember his name. Do you? Do you have it?
Bono. No,
I don't think
Bondo.
it. I don't think it was Bondo because
Hmm.
the hair looked pink, not his white.
Was that the butler?
The butler was not there. He
Hmm.
was in the room with them.
Then I don't know who you were looking at.
Hold on. I'm gonna like try and skip through here to get to that point to see if I can find it
I
specifically.
I think he
Because
may
the
have been.
hairstyle didn't look right either. Okay, so maybe it is Bondo because it does look like the white suit, but his hair is pink in this image.
Hmm.
Like here, let me give you a little quick screenshot of this. Boop boop boop. Like his hair is pink in this shot.
Hmm. Maybe it's half to camouflage who he is from that angle.
Maybe, but it seems pointless when in like 2 minutes he gets introduced.
I don't know.
I don't know. My first thought was that doesn't look like Bondo.
Yes.
Because the pink hair like threw me from this angle.
And Bondo later meets up with Shotaro, calling himself Kanamori, a antique art dealer, who's friends with Kiku, one of his best customers.
I mean, I'm curious, like, assuming that that is actually what he's doing as like a cover for himself, right?
Hmm.
I'm curious if he's actually selling her art or buying the art off of her because, he says that like the guy Kuya is selling off the art slowly, right? To
Hmm.
live a nice life without having to worry too much about anything else. So I wonder if he's buying the art or selling the art, assuming that that's also true.
Mm. Yeah, because you would need a cover for your criminal operation.
I mean, technically, he's in that like other city, so he can kind of do whatever he wants. He can just live there, as far as I know.
Did no? I'm just thinking aloud here. But did Ruby, for the original series, did he have a cover operation, or
I have no idea. Couldn't tell you.
to the best of my knowledge, there was no cover to Museum, but I could be wrong. People selling Gaia memories, that's not us.
Ah, we're just selling hot drugs.
So the woman from earlier, who is Kona Kubakara, says, I don't want to marry him anymore. Save me, detective. Save me. Or else I might.
This is while Shotaro's like wandering around at night because apparently something was bothering him. I forget what specifically it was though.
Forget I said anything. Have a good night. And she just like puts back on her mask and just hurries away.
And kind of just disappears.
Yes.
Shotaro just gave a little bit of a chase, and he's like, "Wait, she's gone."
And then there's a loud noise from outside.
So I'm gonna run outside in my pajamas in this robe.
And somebody is pierced on a tree.
Which I had to sit there, like before I even saw the dopant, I'm just pausing for a second on that shot, and I'm just like, that's a real pointy branch. Is that actually a branch, or is that something the dopant made? Well, I guess technically it could be something the dopant made. It would take some work given what this thing's abilities actually are, but it could technically make that.
Yeah. Oh, what did the Dopant say? There's one less bridal candidate. I feel fantastic.
And the voice is very clearly feminine, so it's one of the girls. Or an 11th person in the mansion we don't know about.
Or, my theory, bringing it up now, it's the grandmother who is somehow using the butler to spy on the girls, and she's eliminating candidates she's deeming not worthy.
That could be. I am curious though, because Bondo brings up the fact that both she and him work together to pick out these specific
Yeah.
bridal contestants. Obviously, the Dopant memories or the Gaia memory is gonna fuck with your sanity, so clearly that's gonna happen.
Um,
But it would make sense because if Bondo's connected to her, there's a good chance he might have passed on a Gaia memory either by mistake or by connections.
or maybe since she's. Does she actually know who Bondo is? And that's how she got the memory.
Could also be that. I think the other question we should ask ourselves as well is why were some of the girls so fixated on continuing this thing even after someone had died?
I'm not ruling out it's one of the candidates.
I'm
I'm
just bringing it up as a counterpoint because it seems a little crazy for someone to be that way unless they're that fixated on getting rich. We should also point out that some of their backgrounds are like not the best. Like one of them is literally a red light district worker, so there's a decent chance that she slept around. Let's say.
and one of them is a pharmaceutical aide.
Yep, that's the first one we met that saved Shotaro and Philip. Another one was like a former pinup, I guess, which is interesting considering I think she was either 21 or 23. So
Yep.
I'm like, that was a quick career. Holy shit!
Yeah, all these girls are early to mid 20s.
I think the oldest one is like,
26.
is it 26? Okay,
Mhm.
I was gonna say 24.
I think the red dress woman is 26. Who earlier in the episode says that if they all die and only one's left, that one automatically wins.
Yeah, last one standing wins, which means he might marry a murderer. Which cool. That's definitely what you want to marry.
Yeah. But then again, if my theory is right, his grandmother is a murderer.
Yes, but unless he's actually, well, I mean, it would make sense also because of the title of the goddamn thing being like Kuya or Kiku. Uh, and this is called like the special K or whatever.
Closed K.
Either way, point is,
Okay.
it would also make sense for it to be one of those two. That said, if it is one of the girls, it would make more sense as to why they would be like gung ho on the last one standing.
Yeah.
Which does bring to mind like how Shotaro's going to deal with this because he does seem to have trouble dealing with women.
Especially women he finds attractive.
Yeah, which the pharmaceutical girl, we definitely heard that from him.
Hey, do you see how much of her back she has exposed?
Yeah, check out
Oh.
that plunging back line. There's at least one that's caught his eye. I don't know about the rest.
Yeah.
Also remember, any girls he's interested in usually are bad news. Something's wrong there.
Except maybe for Tokime.
She's got a bad background, that much you can guarantee.
Yeah, but
Whether or not she herself is bad, she's got trouble following her.
right. So we're not too sure where that is going.
Yep. Anyway, the Dopant's ugly as shit.
Like you
And it,
don't like its design, or
I think it's an ugly design, yeah, because it kind of just looks like. All right, what's the best way I can describe this? So it looks like Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas, but you put like a jelly head on top of him.
with like some floating eye in the center.
Yep, that's
Hmm.
the best way to describe it. It looks like Oogie Boogie, but you've given him like a jelly head with an eyeball in it.
And my thought when they henching in the snow, I thought, Philip, go inside, buddy.
Literally, I'm sitting there like, cool, Philip's a liability again. And somehow the massive explosions didn't destroy his body.
No!
He's also not apparently freezing to death in the snow as he's buried in this blizzard.
That's where my brain was going a little bit. I'm like, aren't they going to care about Philip's body?
No, apparently Philip's just immortal. Nothing can kill his body when his soul's not in it, apparently. Because it makes no goddamn sense.
And
Like,
I'm
literally. Cool, Philip, you're here. You don't have to do the pose and look cool. You can fucking run inside, do the henshin. Your body's not gonna freeze or get blown up, most likely.
but then again, he is still a data body. So I'm not sure if he can experience being frozen.
I don't know what the. Either way, he can die. Also, he acted like he was cold when they were trying to find a way before What's Her Face found them.
Right.
So, if nothing else, he's definitely acting cold. Also,
So
he's dressed for it. So, like, I have to assume that the cold will harm him.
I,
Plus, even if the cold isn't an issue, depending on how bad that blizzard is, he could be buried alive in the snow and not be able to get out.
fair point. So it seems that the Dopant is a bit of a masochist, saying, yes, hit me more.
Here's the thing. They do mention the fact that, like, since this dopant is alcohol based, they're drunk. So, are they really that much of a masochist? Or is it just the fact, like Philip says, they're literally numb to the pain?
Yeah, once that popped up, I'm like, oh, that explains it.
I mean, I'm not saying it couldn't be both.
Yeah, yeah. And has a I beam which causes a big explosion.
Yep.
Luckily, they switch out to Heat Joker at the last second and half absorb some of the flame.
Philip's coat's on fire. Well, oh, let it go. It's fine.
Yeah, so the Dopant escapes.
Because it does another blast or whatever, they block it, and in the ensuing flash, it disappears.
Hmm. And they interview all the potential candidates for who the Dopant could be.
Now, why he didn't question what's her face, the first girl, immediately with everything? I don't know, because
Hmm.
nobody else was in there, right?
Yeah.
Or was the butler present when they were interviewing her? I can't remember for sure.
Uh.
And again, I don't think the butler would have been allowed to see their faces either. So outside of escorting them to the room, I don't think he could be in there.
Hmm. Yeah, and we find out the butler has been working for the family for over 30 years, was it?
I think it was like 50. Like he
Hmm.
worked for them as a teenager, and he's
Okay.
already old enough at this point. I think he's older than 40. But I
Okay,
could
I
be wrong.
thought it said the butler was in his 50s.
It might be. It could be. So then it would have been like 30 something years. Because they
Yeah,
only said teens. They didn't give us a specific number. But we also can guarantee, based on the voices, that it is definitely not him.
right. So, Shotaro says if I would have talked to her first, maybe a lot more people wouldn't have died.
I mean, she ran off before he could find her. There wasn't much he could really do.
So, he's alluding to the fact that more of the candidates will die before this story comes to a close.
Oh, I assumed that much.
Yeah. Do you think they'll all die, or do you think like once three are dead, Shotaro will have a suspicion that it's potentially the only surviving one, whether or not that's right?
I think the question that we should be asking, and this one is a bit more interesting of a twist, right? We heard about high dopants already. Will
Yes.
something happen, one, that will transform this one into a high dopant?
Okay.
Two, if it is the old woman like you and I are both suspecting here, what if she accidentally killed her grandson?
Ooh.
Would that drive her to become a high dopant?
Ooh. Maybe in the ensuing mental thing going on in her head, like I just killed my own grandson, that like mentally snaps her,
Uh,
causing her to evolve. Maybe.
that's kind of where I'm at with it, where I think something's gonna go wrong. Like again, this is all assuming that we're right, and it is Kiku. I'm assuming that at some point Kuya's gonna get caught in the crossfire and die, and that's gonna make something happen.
Oh.
That's also going to be a great reason for Bondo to be here because he's going to be all over that shit.
Yeah. Okay, here's another thought that I have on my end. Ryu will show up. Oh, wait a minute.
But he's a motorcycle. How does he drive on the snow?
He will take the Rebel Gary.
Isn't that the garage itself?
That's the name of their tank, remember?
I thought we said that was the garage, not the tank.
No, that since the tank stores their motorcycle, their hovercraft, and their, I want to say, jet ski?
Weird, because like the tank is that massive because it didn't look that massive when Philip drove it out before. I thought we had determined that it was Revolution Garage or something, and that's why it was called Rebel Gary,
Well, it
not
stores,
not the actual tank itself being the Rebel Gary.
the Rebel Gary is the name of their tank.
Okay, weird. So apparently, I must not have made the connection that the garage and the tank were the same.
Yeah.
Because it always seemed like he parked the bike, and that was just a separate room as to where he would walk into the office or to whatever. It didn't strike me as, oh, he's storing the bike in the tank, because the tank does not look that big.
My thought is that Ryu will come with the Rebel Gary and like plow through the snow to get to them, since he will be like, oh, he's up in this mountain area. Oh, wait, what's that lights on in a mansion? Why do they have power? I'm going to investigate there first, and then stuff will happen from there.
All right, I will also say that the Rebel Gary looks bigger than I thought, because I've gotten to the scene where Philip pops out of it, and it's literally because he's probably standing on the seat.
Ah.
I still think it's stupid. It's not
Mm-mm-mm.
changing my opinion.
Okay. So yeah, we have another adventure with Mick, and Akiko is trying out new phrases for her slippers.
I'm very glad that we dropped the radio show gag because it was bad.
Mm.
The Mick gags are better.
Yeah, and it's just catch us next time.
Yes, mock the humans for being stupid. I like it. Get some
Yeah.
real Foamy the Squirrel vibes going on with this cat.
So, yeah. I think this arc is pretty interesting. The way it's building up now.
It's interesting. I'm going to go ahead and say that if we are correct and we've already figured out that it's Kiku, a little disappointed.
You know, it could be Kiku, but her motivations we're not seeing.
What was the name of the guy that was Road?
Uh,
What was his name?
Sabu, I think.
Okay, so So far, because I think Tokime was the one that we were supposed to think it was, assuming Kiku is right, every single one other than the first arc has been correct that it's the first letter of the person's name that's the dopant.
Right.
Like M's name was Murder, like that was
Mm-hmm.
the nickname. If Tokime was our main suspect at first, or at least she was the target of the case anyway, then that means it was Tokime for T.
Road begins with R.
I'm talking about the actual person's name.
Oh, okay.
So Tokime was the original target for this.
Oh, okay.
That was the person that they were hired to find. So beware of T was Tokime.
Mm-hmm.
The terrible M, they were hired to protect what's her face, the idol. And the guy's nickname was Murder online. So there's
Mm-hmm.
your M. So whoever this is has to be named K in some way, shape, or form.
But also, there was the Witch of the T intersection. So,
That was also Tokime.
yeah, but the T intersection also brought up the T, maybe in that respect, too.
I mean, multiple, but the pattern doesn't make sense then with M.
Yeah, I do know in the original series that had this similar formula of a two-part episode with like the first part being the arc name, second part being something else. The letter in there always had significance to the arc, not necessarily the victim.
Mm-hmm.
Since this is its own series, it could be the victim's or like the victim's name in the
Victim slash
letter.
target in this case.
Maybe.
I'm leaning toward it being our target for the case.
Hmm.
Because Road was never the original target. It was Tokime.
Right.
Road was just, involved in the case in the end. Murder was always our target,
Mm-hmm.
right? In this case, the only target we have is going to be the dope hunt. We don't have them getting hired for a case here. The only other way I could see this, and honestly, this is the way I would probably want to write it myself. And honestly, I would probably keep it quiet for a bit. Kind of like the way they did with Road, where they didn't know the actual name of the
Memory.
dope hunt or the memory. I would have made the letter whatever the memory is. I would have made it the first letter of the memory.
Oh.
Then again, you might get a lot of duplicates that way.
Yeah.
This way, you can kind of direct which way it's gonna go, better if it's people's names, or in the case of murder, nicknames.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. Catch us next time when we continue through the snowstorm and find out if it is Kiku who's behind this.
Do we
And
know if this is going to be 2 or 3 parts?
I'm guessing three, and then the
Okay.
other one will be 3 parts.
Okay, I thought that's what you had said before, but I wanted to double check.
Yeah, because from here on out, we're having 9 or 10 chapter story arcs. So I'm guessing that will easily be 3 episode arcs.
Mm-hmm.
Unless we go back to the sea arc, which was just 3 chapters next season for a first episode.
I was trying to think would this idea work, but I don't think it would.
Mm.
It would have to be its own thing, not one written for this, or not one written for the original run, I guess. But I was thinking, what if they broke up the final episode into the last couple minutes, where we have these little end credits things,
Mm.
or told it in the same chibi way, and just broke it
Interesting.
up over the course of all of the 12 episodes.
Oh,
Make yourself a secret 13th episode.
that would be cool.
Especially if they were doing something Gravity Falls style where they told it out of order and you had to piece it together yourself.
So, catch everybody next week.
Bye.